Chapter 2 of the Pokemon Creepypasta, Weeping Cubone. Valerie searched far and wide for the sad little animal, but it was nowhere to be found. She eventually dozed off by a patch of bushes, falling into a heavy slumber. This time her dreams were not haunted by the hypno she was so used to seeing. Instead, she could only hear the sound of running water. When she awoke the next morning, she found a map in her hand. She had no memory of it, but knew this was no accident, and had a feeling a certain Pokemon was behind this. Valerie curiously opened it up to see it was drawn by hand, with an X in her location, and a long trail leading to a circled house. The young woman, feeling rested but hungry, followed the directions on the map. She wasn't very bothered by walking in plain sight in her white hospital garment, ignoring head turns and odd looks, but she knew she had to find some normal clothes. Searching through some dumpsters along the way, she eventually found a badly torn pair of jeans and a stained white shirt someone had thrown out. They weren't exactly a perfect fit, but they would do. Leaving her hospital garment behind, the map eventually guided Valerie to her destination. It was a small, poorly cared-for house. The grass was atrociously tall, and the old station wagon parked outside appeared to be in need of repair. Taking a deep breath, Valerie mustered some courage and walked up to the porch, knocking on the faded front door. The sound of heavy footsteps approaching reached her sharp ears, and she became a bit nervous as they reached the other side of the door. As it creaked open, a gruff voice started, "For the last time, I know I'm behind on payments. Stop!" The large man stopped in mid-sentence as he realized the person in front of him was a strangely dressed young woman. "Oh, sorry," he said, a bit flustered. "Hello." Valerie immediately recognized him as the store owner from the thrift shop. "It's you," she exclaimed. "You're the old man from the thrift store that closed down recently." The man, taken aback, gave her a hard look. "And you're that girl who came in with her friends wanting those." He shuddered, then continued. "Oh, dreadful, dreadful games." "The Pokemon Dark version games?" she asked. He nodded, a grimace plastered to his face. "Is there anyone else left? You're lucky to be breathing." Valerie shook her head. "All of my friends who played it are dead. I'm the only survivor. I was given this map leading me here." The old man took and inspected the map she was holding. "Who gave you this?" he asked quickly. "I don't know. I found it in my hand when I woke up about an hour ago." The man shook his head, looking disturbed. "It's happening again." "What's happening?" Valerie asked. The old man hesitated, realigning his crooked glasses, then said, "Come on inside. I'll explain. You must be hungry anyways." Valerie clutched her growling stomach, replying, "I am." She followed him inside, and the door moaned and creaked as it closed slowly. "You're the only one I've seen survive these tragedies. I'm assuming your friends stole the game when the cashier and I were distracted?" Valerie nodded, looking down in guilt as the man rummaged through a fridge. "Never mind that. It's in the past. Now we must focus on the present. Have you been haunted by an entity from the game lately?" Valerie timidly nodded again as he handed her a yogurt cup and a plastic spoon. "The hypno?" the store owner asked, having a hunch. The young woman nodded as she ate her yogurt quietly. The old man grimaced, shaking his head as he muttered, "I'm sorry, you can't stay here. No good will come from it. There's no telling
just what I'm capable of."
A sudden change on his face. The old man gave Valerie a wicked sneer, standing up and approaching her.
"None can escape the power of my spell. Not even you, Valerie."
The frightened young woman ran out of the house, racing across the untrimmed lawn. She had no idea where to go, but knew she had to hide immediately. Remembering the only solace she had found, Valerie dashed back to the forest she had fallen asleep in. Crouching behind some tall grass, she stopped to catch her breath. In the midst of silence, the song of a flowing river reached her ears. Feeling quite thirsty and wanting to get further from the house, she followed the sound of the rushing waters until she found the river. It sounded exactly like the one she had heard in her dream. Reluctantly kneeling by the bank, Valerie cupped some of the clear water into her hands and raised it to her lips. She was met with some relief as she swallowed the fresh water and looked up to see thick clouds filling the once sunny sky. As she headed further downstream to seek refuge from the approaching rain, she noticed an odd figure lying near the river, surrounded by some thick red puddles. Upon further inspection, Valerie discovered it was a young boy who looked brutally beaten. She could tell by the pale blue skin and cold stare in the green eyes that he was dead. Covering her mouth in horror, she slowly backed away from the corpse, terrified. The eyes seemed to gaze at her endlessly as she grew more distant. Able to focus only on the dead body, Valerie almost stumbled over a fallen tree limb as she backed away. The clouds were growing much thicker, a gentle drizzle tapping against the ground. Valerie wasn't sure what was going on by this point. She hid behind a large tree as the drizzle began to grow stronger, breaking out into a steady downpour. Trying to piece together everything she had witnessed since escaping the mental hospital, Valerie wondered if she could survive for long. As doubts raced through her head, the rain began to fall harder, a harsh wind roaring by. She didn't care if she was becoming soaked and cold. In these thick woods, Valerie felt at peace, safe. Gazing down at her feet as the storm raged about her, she noticed a red streak flowing towards her toes. Her eyes followed the unusual stream to see it led to the small brown animal she had seen the night before. Its head was drooped over like a dead flower. It looked even gloomier than the first time Valerie had seen it. The red trickling was coming from something being washed off the bone in its hand. Standing up and walking towards the sad little creature, she swallowed nervously as she heard it lamenting quietly. Something told her it could read her thoughts, so she did not speak when she approached. Instead, she directed her thoughts toward it, thinking, "Why are you crying?" The creature did not look up at her, but replied with its own thoughts.
"I want to be with my mother. Have you seen her?"
"No, I haven't. Would you know anything about a young boy by the river?" The animal slowly looked up at her, a hint of envy in its gaze.
"I saw him with what appeared to be his mother. He was rude to her, taking for granted her care and love. It made me angry, so when she left his side, I took him away and killed him."
Valerie was taken aback, thinking, "That's awful."
No, it was right. He did not appreciate the one who loved him.
Valerie looked down at the blood-stained bone the animal was holding. "Where did you get that bone from?" The animal looked down at it, noticing the blood dripping off the edge.
"I don't know. I've had it as long as I can remember."
"What is your name?" Valerie asked.
"My mother named me Cubone. I just want to see her again. More people will die if I don't."
With a flash of lightning, the Cubone was gone.